Scene 7.
Kit stopped short when she entered the kitchen, nearly causing Zara to run into her from behind. Standing on a bench at the table and waving her clawed hands excitedly was the strangest creature Kit had ever seen. The tiny, stick-thin figure was a full handbreadth short of a yardstick tall, maybe even 2 hands, with a bulbous nose and giant ears like a bat. Her skin was wrinkled and leathery, and she had a shock of thinning, straw-like hair that shone with a greenish tinge in the candlelight. She was also nude, aside from a belt and apron hanging heavy with pouches and tools that jangled as she gesticulated to the lean, sallow-faced man sitting across from her. "'Tis a brownie," Kit breathed. She knew fae were real, everyone did, but she'd never seen one with her own eyes. She looked up at Zara. "There's a brownie in your kitchen." The tiny creature noticed the women and stopped rambling. "And who be this fine young lad, Zara?" "This be Kit," she replied. "Our newest member. Captain just acquired his apprenticeship this very bloom-tide." She looked at Kit and gestured across the kitchen. "Kit, meet Puddle Wrench. The rather severe gentleman with her is Vincent." He scowled at Kit and puffed irritably on his clay pipe, blue smoke wreathing his head. His dark eyes were bruised, and a neatly trimmed black moustache and goatee framed his thin blue lips. Kit had never met a living man who so resembled a corpse. And there was something wrong about the shadows around him. They seemed to rise out of cadence with the flickering light of the candles. Looking at him was unnerving, so Kit didn't. Instead, she focused on the tiny fae woman. "You're a brownie," she told Puddle Wrench. "A common misidentification," the wizened fae replied, her voice high and scratchy. "But I won't hold that against you, lad. I'm a hobgoblin, a close cousin to brownies, to be sure. However—" Vincent cleared his throat, and Puddle Wrench twitched her ears. "Perhaps another time." Vincent pointed at Kit with his pipe stem. "Why is he here? We're supposed to be planning the heist, which—" He pulled a pocket watch from his doublet and studied it. "We have scant hours left to accomplish as it is." "We have plenty of time," Zara said, crossing the kitchen to sit beside him on the bench. She rubbed his back. "Kit here will be accompanying us." "Indeed." Vincent glowered at Kit. "Well, don't just stand there gaping at the freaks in our company. Come take a seat. The bloom close grows late. Tic-tac, lad." Kit ambled over and sat beside Puddle Wrench, hiding her nervousness with a straight back and squared shoulders. The fae woman patted her shoulder and grinned, exposing meadle teeth. "And what's your speciality?" she asked Kit. "I'm a travelling player," Kit replied proudly. "With rather nimble fingers," Zara added. Vincent rolled his eyes. "So a damned gypsy, in other words. Care to read my palm for a copper?" "All you'll get for that is a farthing fortune," Kit replied with a grin. The Tarletons weren't Vardani, but people mistook them for the colourful foreign travellers often enough. She hardly minded. Her troop often joined with their caravans for safety, trading songs and stories. "Toss me a shilling and I'll make up something truly grand." "Mind the black doesn't overhear you jesting his mother's kin," Zara purred to Vincent. "Anyhow, Kit here is a rather fine actor." "What use is reciting couplets on a stage and swinging wooden swords to us?" he countered, pointing at Kit with his pipe stem. "Shall he don a wig and stuff rags in his chest to beguile our foes as a buxom wench with his wanton charms?" Vincent's barbs were interrupted by a short, paunchy man stumbling into the kitchen, clutching his head. He was wearing only his hose and an unbuttoned velvet doublet, his blonde curls in disarray. "Oh, God's skin! 'Tis dark as sin in here," he moaned, heading over to rummage in the pantry. He snapped his fingers, and Kit gasped as an orb of soft white light appeared in his hand. She'd never seen real magic before. Zara reached over and closed Kit's gaping mouth. The blonde man set the orb to float over his shoulder. "Do we not have anything stronger than small beer? By the dainty severed head of Felicia the Martyr, I could use a stiff brandy wine right now." Spent all Bloontide in Grace's boudoir, nestled like a babe twixt her paps. She mopped my brow with a cool rag, whilst the rat residing under her wardrobe recited Milhurst in a lovely basso profondo. He turned to them, swigging from the pitcher. "Are you familiar with the bard, Zara?" "Aye," she replied. "I've seen a play or two at the theatre." "Vainglorious charlatan," he declared. "Can't even write a decent swiving scene. I've penned better couplets on the walls of the Jakes. Would any of you like to hear one?" "Perhaps later, Sebby dearest," Zara replied, while Puddlewrench grinned and Vincent looked extra irritable. The foppish drunk paused, swaying slightly, then grinned. "Beg thy pardon, milady, and fuck mine loutish gob." Guzzling more small beer like a fish, he then politely wiped his lips with a lace-edged handkerchief. "Am I interrupting something so very damned important?" Zara smiled. "Not at all, kitten." "Flaying rot, small beer." He ambled over to the table. "Can't get drunk off it, and it just makes you piss." He belched, excused himself politely, then squinted at Kit with watery blue eyes. "Who in the void are you? How damned old are you, lad?" 15, Kit replied. "Doesn't he have the most fabulous lips?" Sebastian told Puddlewrench. "Just like rose petals. What a delicious cock scabbard." Kit blinked and furrowed her brow. He just casually referred to her mouth as... He turned back to her, holding out a limp-wristed hand. "What's your name, tender lamb?" "I'm Sebastian, Lord Daggerford the Ninth, philanderer and buggering knave, at your service." "Kit," she replied, taking his hand. "A pleasure, my lord." He kept hold of her hand in a clammy grip, remarking to Zara about how delicate and long-fingered Kit's hands were for an urchin. "A shame about the calluses, though," he said to Kit with a sniff. "Did you know you have a feminine aura?" "Oh aye, it simply shimmers around your boyish form to my trained eye." Kit stiffened. If he could see through her act with some kind of arcane sight. "Nothing to be ashamed of course," Sebastian rambled on. "One can't help what the fates have crafted in their whimsy. One must simply embrace it. Sometimes they fashion ladies with cocks and gentlemen with tits. I believe it amuses them. There's no need to look so shocked, my sweet boy. But I am intrigued, as a distaff soul in a spear's flesh. Do you prefer to play the hawk or hare?" She wrinkled her nose at him, unsure of what he was referring to. He'd lost her completely with his talk of men and women with mismatched parts, his words slurring as he swayed. She wasn't so sure anymore he'd sniffed out her truth at all. More likely the ale-addled fool was just raving mad. "Stop trying to seduce the lad by cousining him with your absurd metaphysical theories of confounded natures," Vincent grumbled. "He's scandalous, Kit," Zara added. "Ignore him. The poxy fop will stick his yard in any hole that strikes his fancy." "I haven't the pox, and they all strike my fancy," Sebastian assured Kit. He raised a finger. "With the possible exception of Madame de la Rue. I'm quite convinced her quim whiskers conceal venomous fangs." "You've never swived me," Puddlewrench teased. "True," Sebastian considered. "However, that can be easily remedied. Anyhow, 'tis been an honour and pleasure making your acquaintance, young Master Kit. Alas, I must bid you all adieu, much as it pains me. The pixies call, and I must attend whilst the cracks and water stains on my ceiling intone far more enticing sonnets than Milhurst's clumsy rot." Good bloom close, Dame Puddle-wrench, Dr. de Moreau. He took Zara's hand and kissed it. My dove. Striking a pose, he bowed deeply, then turned and slurred, Come, Lucrezia. The orb of light followed him, bouncing jauntily over his shoulder as he staggered out, drinking from the pitcher. Vincent cleared his throat and looked to Kit. As I was about to ask before that most dramatic interlude, can you do anything interesting besides histrionic death scenes and cutting the occasional purse? Stop badgering the lad, Puddle-wrench scolded. Kit scowled and leaned back, crossing her legs in a perfect imitation of Vincent. Then she mimed puffing a pipe and pretended to look at a timepiece. Well, don't just stand there gaping at the freaks in our company. Come take a seat, she drawled. The bloom close grows late. Tick-tack, lad. Vincent frowned, and Puddle-wrench laughed. Zara gave Kit a sly grin. You caught his tongue to the life, the hobgoblin exclaimed. Caught his tongue to the life, Kit echoed in a high-pitched voice. Then she dropped her tone to Zara's husky alto. He does have rather nimble fingers. She showed them her hands, front and back, and then pulled one of Puddle-wrench's tools from her mouth and dropped it on the table. Zara clapped slowly as Puddle-wrench stared at Kit, mouth agape. Vincent glowered. Mockingbirds pulling wrenches out of their beaks aren't going to help much this bloom close, he said, leaning forward. Perhaps you can perform on the street for halfpennies as a distraction. Oh, don't be so damned dour, Zara scolded, slapping his arm lightly. She looked to the hobgoblin. Did you finish it? Aye, as requested, Puddle-wrench proclaimed, pulling an odd brass key out of an apron pocket with a flourish. It had a red crystal set into the pin and strange engravings on the bow. Behold, the lock tickler. This ingenious artifice can pick any lock designed by man or fae. Zara nodded and pursed her lips. And it works? And won't backfire spectacularly, Vincent added. Well, Puddle-wrench shrugged. It can get cantankerous if used on simple locks. I fancy they offend it. Dare I ask what powers it? Vincent dared to ask. Your last gadget was powered by a lesser devil and caused no end of mischief. I'm still finding pages of my books fused together with congealed blood. Oh, nothing of the sort, Puddle-wrench assured him. This is pure human-sourced soul sap. Nothing infernal or fae. I captured the essence of a renowned locksmith during the height of his agony on the scaffold as he was drawn and quartered. Perfectly safe. Just insert it, give a quarter turn, and the ruby will project ethereal tendrils, probing the lock's tumblers with preternatural precision and clicking them open in seconds. 'Tis foolproof. Zara took it from her and turned it around in her hands before slipping it into one of her surcoat sleeves. She looked to Vincent. I guess that's everything. Shall we? Vincent flicked a speck of ash off his shoulder and stood, nodding. We shall. That's it? What's the plan? What's my part? Your part is the mute lookout, Vincent told her, with an emphasis on mute.